Hello, everyone, and welcome. Oh, hi. Welcome back to Los Angeles Public Library's Facebook and YouTube live channels. I'm so excited to be here today for another awesome program for teens. I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to the Library Foundation of Los Angeles for helping to make this program possible today. Today, we're going to be hosting author, chef, restaurateur, and overall fun and creative person, Win Tran. Sorry. You may know him from his restaurant Starry Kitchen or Button Mash, and he'll tell us a little bit about those today. You also may know that Lunar New Year is coming up this Friday, February 12th, and Win will be showing us a tasty and easy dish that you can make at home to celebrate. I'm so excited. So take it away, Win. Yay.
Hello. I hope all one of you, I don't know how many people are watching, all one of you, which is Katie, enjoy this. My name is Win Tran. I'm Vietnamese American. My wife and I, God, how long ago is it now? 12 years ago, we started an illegal and underground restaurant out the back of our apartment in North Hollywood. And this is our son. He wasn't around at the time. And because he wasn't born yet. Yeah, that's right. You weren't out of mama yet. And our apartment became the #1 Asian fusion restaurant listing on all of LA and Yelp. And then we had these kind of crazy adventures opening up downtown, and we had a place in Chinatown. We got 101 best restaurant list in LA, but it's just TEENtastic. No one cares about that. You know, that has nothing to do with Fortnite or anything like that. You know, part of the fun of all this is that this is going to sound really weird, but I'm kind of an uncomfortable Asian American because I grew up incredibly American in Dallas, Texas, and learning about Lunar New Year. Many different names, right? If you're Chinese, or especially in general pop culture, people used to call it Chinese New Year, but then you realize that a lot of Asian cultures celebrate it. So Lunar New Year, paying respects to the fact that it's actually, you know, when it hits Lunar New Year, just look up and it'll be a full moon, literally, right? I don't know the science behind it. I'm sure they count how many times the moon waxes on and off. If anyone's watched the original Karate Kid, not the new Karate Kid TV series, Cobra Kai, which is fun too. It actually goes along with that calendar. And I'm Vietnamese, and we go about that calendar too. What's unique too, by the way, for anyone that's not asleep yet, Vietnamese people, our calendar is a little bit different. Our animals and some of the years are completely different, which is not something I didn't even realize until like 5 years ago. And I'm old. I'm like 43. Killian, how old are you? You're 4. You turned 5 in 2 weeks, right? That's right. And that means I am almost 8.5 times older than you. That's how old I am than Killian. But you guys, you TEENtastic kids and any adults are older than that. So here's what I'm gonna do. I normally wear a banana suit because I go kind of crazy, but you know, I'm gonna take off the banana suit just in case any of you came from the social media of LAPL or Sun Valley Branch or our social media. I just wanted you to see that I wear a banana. Yeah, yes. Oh, he's getting. I love Killian. He's my boy. So I'm gonna take it off, but everything I'm wearing under is symbolic. Give me 1 second. Okay. First costume change. Okay, I'm wearing a red jacket. You know, my wife is actually Chinese American. She's half Cantonese, half Taiwanese. And just to clarify, just so everyone knows, being Taiwanese does not mean you're from Thailand. And I know that sounds like it's a joke, but it's not. Just in case you know, being Taiwanese is from Taiwan, right? Being Thai, generally speaking, is from Thailand. I'm just putting that out there for clarification. So my wife is half Taiwanese, half Cantonese, and she was born in Vietnam. But you know, but generally speaking, my son is half Chinese and half Vietnamese. And so this is the Chinese side that we celebrate. So red is the lucky color, and all Lunar New Year. So okay, we got another costume change, right? Last one before I get comfortable. Oh, I can take the wrist. Oh, I don't leave the wristbands on because I like them. Because you know this is my video. Yikang, come on, Yikang. He's pointing to the fact that he knows I'm wearing something else underneath this. So yeah, and it's okay. It's okay. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, wait. I'm gonna turn the camera so they can see it. It's like, oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, how long is that? Whoa. Whoa. So this is more Vietnamese. This is a dragon. Just for looks. But this is in Vietnamese we call this an ao dai. The word ao means shirt, yai means long, but it's actually like traditional Vietnamese garb. And I wear this during every Chinese New Year for the last couple of years. My mom got this especially for me in Vietnam. Killian has both a Chinese outfit and a Vietnamese outfit. And it's a big deal in the various Asian communities that celebrate Lunar New Year. And what do we do? Here's two examples, right? The Chinese side. So my wife, right? Let me see if I can see my wife. She's right there. Say hi, honey. Yeah. The other half of Starry Kitchen. No, I'm not trying to oppress her or suppress her. She's busy making pastries for the Lunar New Year to give to friends, socially distant, mask on. So we can it's gonna be like a drive-by cooking because we're making cookies. But this is like a traditional Chinese kind of like sugar cake, and this is a red envelope she put on top of it for good luck. But sometimes she uses a stamp. This is a stamp and stamps it on. But secret, it's not easy to stamp cakes. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't look like a stamp anymore. Don't tell anyone else. Okay, the other side, the Vietnamese side, we eat. So there's a lot. During every festive event in Asian or Vietnamese Chinese culture, it's a lot about food. Like last year, when pre-pandemic, we had like a 12-course meal. It's a 12-course meal. We had like 10 people over, so not enough courses. Too many courses for each person. Oh, but it's family style, so we share. So this is not exactly a square. So I'm Southern Vietnamese more. Actually, I'm Trung, which is like in between. So there's a lot of different. That is the word for Lunar New Year in the Vietnamese culture. And I usually eat banh det, which is like a det pastry, was the literal translation. This is kind of a banh trung. Banh trung tends to be more square. They're the same thing. It's like glutinous rice. This has like caramelized pork belly in it. I believe you marinated the rice in what? Rice vinegar?
No.
No, what was it?
Just like some five spice.
Five spice.
Just seasoning and some oil.
Seasoning, oil. Anyway, look, Lunar New Year, any holiday is a great excuse to celebrate. It's the new year. We wish each other good health, fortune, and happiness. We give away those red envelopes to each other, mostly to single people or children. I'm sorry, that's my shoulder. And we put money in them to pass those wishes on. But married people don't get those anymore. If there's any reason not to get married for Asian people is to continue to get money from the older people. But I'm married, so I made that decision. I'm gonna take that responsibility and not take the money anymore and just cry it away. But anyway, if you want, I remember one quick memory is I grew up in Dallas, and my parents are immigrants from Vietnam. And one thing we used to do during in Dallas is where I grew up. There was the Texas State Fair, which has the big thing called Big Tex. It's like the big statue goes, "Hey, welcome to the Texas State Fair," and you go there for corn dogs and turkey legs. But during that, my parents used to set up a booth to sell this kind of, I call it like a rice crepe. It's a steamed rice plate called bánh bèo. And you put ground shrimp, ground pork. Not me, but other people. Mung bean, not me. I don't like mung bean. I'm not that Asian. And fish sauce. And you eat that. And we used to have a stand. We'd sell it with our family friends. And that was a whole lot of fun. And I would take a piece of cardboard. There's a hill, and we'd slide down the hill and try not to break our legs or wrists, because that's what you do in the 80s, among other things. So, any questions, Katie?
So it sounds like you've been did you help your family when they made when they had the stand in Texas? Did you help them cook, or were you just kind of
Well, the hardest part about being so the term for children of first generation immigrants, like the diaspora or diaspora, I've heard it pronounced both ways, is that I had a really tough time. You know, I wasn't Vietnamese enough, and I wasn't American enough, and I had a really tough time getting really comfortable with my skin. At 43, I'm still dealing with that, and something I want to instill in my child a little bit more as he's stuffing his face into a Japanese French fry chip box. So no, I didn't really help, but you know, I still have memories of my parents doing that, and you know, a lot of the heritage that I take away were the things that they didn't necessarily, they tried to impart on me, but they still carried on themselves. And I used to call them that dish Ben Bell. Like that was actually the festive thing we would do. We'd make hundreds to thousands of them for like a party, and they had these huge steamers. And I call them like in the oh yeah, you already have it there. The book. I call it a Ben Bell Rager. It's like they would drink Ben Bell and like, drink lots of beer, lots of cheap beer. For I know you guys are teens and you don't drink it, but like it's cheap, like watery beer. And that's, you know, those are things that I remember, but I wasn't like I said, I wasn't incredibly comfortable being Vietnamese at the time. And I really wish I was more active in it, but you know, I'm trying to make up for it as an adult. Is what adults do, right? We overcompensate.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm curious about like because you were saying red for the Chinese celebration of New Year is like sort of a good luck kind of
and
color.
most Asians, to be honest with you, that's why the envelopes are all red too.
So the blue on your outfit that's just a fashion choice, or is blue?
That is just a fashion choice that my mom made for me. And actually, my favorite color is blue.
Oh, it's very nice. It's a nice color blue. Oh, we have a question.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite Vietnamese restaurants in LA or OC?
In LA, you know what? The simple answer is yes. My favorite one is, so let's really quick. Vietnamese food is not all pho, and I'm going to repeat pho. If you say pho, I understand where you're going with that. Vietnamese people understand where you're going with that. But if you say pho, they'll really appreciate that. They'll really appreciate you, and they'll probably send you a really good place instead of a crappy place. My favorite place is, let's see, it's in El Monte on Garvey, east of Rosemead. It's called pho. Is it called pho filet? Is that the one I like? For pho. Pho filet is super good. It's really good. You know, it's authentic, pretty authentic, because mostly Asian people or people that already know it's all like, you know, you have to share tables. It's really packed. They're not rude, but really direct. Like you go in there and it's really busy and you're trying to wave them down. Like you're at a fancy French restaurant. They're like, wait. Right? They'll tell you that. It's really, their pho is really, really good. I love to go there for pho. For cam tam, which is actually one of my favorite dishes. Cam tam is broken rice. So if you take like jasmine rice, and you know, and this is what I think. So this is not necessarily, don't hold me to this, but you know, when you pick rice in the rice fields, you don't get completely whole rice, and you have broken rice, right? Or if you soak it too long, rice actually becomes really brittle. And you know, Vietnamese people made a dish out of broken rice itself, and it's fantastic. And cam tam, you know, you can have like a pork chop and shredded pork and a steamed egg with ground pork. Pork is the consistent theme in cam tam. There's a place called Cam Tam Quan Kieu. It's on Valley, barely east of Del Mar, in I believe San Gabriel, but let's just say the entire SGV. So in Los Angeles, the SGV is probably the best collection and representation of Vietnamese food. But I'm gonna throw one more thing out there, and this is gonna be like kind of like a out of left field. But my favorite Vietnamese restaurant, my favorite pho restaurant in Southern California, possibly one of them in the world, is a place called Soup Noodle House. There's one in Buena Park. I think that's the original one. There's one in Irvine. Their pho is fantastic. It's so good. I want to shout out expletives, but I don't want to get anyone in trouble here. That's how good it is. It's so good that like I want to undo the top button and maybe, you know, get like it's so rich and, you know, unctuous, and the pho is just immaculate, and it's representative of something I had in northern Vietnam when I was traveling. But I don't know if anyone those are some answers for really great Vietnamese food. There's other dishes too. Bò Bai Mong is 7 courses of beef. Bun Ba Hue is or Bun Ba if you're actually from Hue is a province in Vietnam. So it's a different kind of soup. It's a very different kind of soup noodle than pho. Bun Ba Hue, Bun Riu, which is like a crab meat tomato-based soup noodle. Vietnamese food it's amazing. I didn't love it as a kid, but I love it now.
You're making me so hungry right now.
Good. You know what? That's all those years of being on failed TV shows. My favorite. Please call me Food Network again. I want to be back on TV. Well, I sometimes. Yes, you got. Yeah, sure. Any other questions, or should we move on?
I think we should just get into the noodles. I'm so hungry.
Okay.
I want to watch you make food.
Okay, so before we get to the other camera, so noodles in Asian culture, the longer the noodles, the symbolism is for longevity. So I figured we make something that's also we have 2 most popular dishes. The crispy tofu balls is one, and the garlic noodles is a whole another. And I have fresh noodles here. Look at it, here. You can feast your eyes on. Ooh, fresh noodles. By the way, if you let's go through this. Okay, this is my book. I'm sure you can check it out at the LA Public Library. Okay, this is a French culinary comic book. I wrote the foreword for. A foreword just means it's a fancy intro for someone that 1 or 2 people know. It's really fun. Oh, okay. Here's where we're at. If you want to make fresh noodles, this Ivan Ramen, which is a famous ramen restaurant both in Japan and New York, he has a really good ramen recipe. I've only had it at the restaurant. It's delicious, but I've never made it. The reason I haven't made it is because it's 30 pages long. It's not to say that I won't make 30 pages worth of recipes, but I have a child. I don't have much time. It's not something I have anymore. But so these are fresh noodles. But on top. Oh no, don't worry about the freaking camera. But I did bring out. You can make these with these are spaghetti noodles. You can make with any kind of Italian noodle. If you're gluten free, I don't know. That is the simple answer. But I will say that it should be a kind of noodle that flavor can stick to. It doesn't rub off of, and that's why like gluten noodles look really well. If you work with fresh noodles, one thing to know is, especially if you lay them out, like these are from Sun Noodle. They provide the ramen noodles for most of America. For most of America. But I'm from Texas, so I can actually pull it up, so you know. So, but anyway, fresh noodles, you need to separate them, right? And I guess I'm gonna change this camera real quick so we can see some of the ingredients. Here you go. Look at this. Okay, so we're not gonna do a full demo because it's gonna take a long time to do that because I just talk so much. You need 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of fish sauce. Oh, wait a second. Fish sauce, you ask? What kind of fish sauce? This is the fish sauce that we predominantly use. In Vietnamese, it's called ba con cua, which means 3 crabs. Mo, hai, ba, which is that's counting the 3 in Vietnamese. But you can use you can use other fish sauces. You can don't take all of them. Yeah, he likes the crabs. Fish sauce, oyster sauce. There's a lot of brands of oyster sauce. We usually use Lee Kum Kee's premium oyster sauce, or actually there's a Green Panda version of theirs too. And chicken powder. Chicken powder is not normal like American chicken bouillon cubes. This is the brand that we use, Lee Kum Kee as well. Chicken bouillon powder. It's what my wife sometimes calls the secret ingredient because it's super umami.
But you can find all these ingredients at your average grocery store for the most part, correct?
Your average Asian grocery store, yes. I'll have to be really specific about that. Mostly Asian grocery stores, but in LA they're so plentiful, it's not hard to find. But just so you know, here's the vegetarian version. So you replace the chicken powder with mushroom powder, and this is the mushroom powder that we use. It's super good. And instead of fish sauce, we use, when we do the vegetarian version, we use light Kikkoman soy sauce. Light because you don't want it too salty. Oh, okay. We don't want it too salty, but here's the thing. Like, you make our recipe, you can do whatever you want with it. Like, who are we to judge what your palate wants? Yes, Gong? Yes? Oh, he's so cute. Okay, sorry, that was a cheap. Reason to. Do they still hear me even though I'm muted on this one? They still hear me, right? Okay, okay. Oh, minced garlic. I wanted to give you as a piece of advice on minced garlic. Number one, if you look at the garlic is minced pretty evenly. That is super important when you're working with ingredients because if it's minced unevenly, certain ones will burn faster because you're trying to cook the larger ones. That's what you have. When you cook, consistency preparation does make a huge difference. But what helps a lot is I'm trying to use my left hand to get this. We use this thing called a ninja, which is not a person, but it's a machine. It's kind of Keenly thinks that's funny. It's kind of like I guess it's like a magic bullet. But the magic bullet, it's like a magic bullet. It's like a food processor. This is a really easy way to mince garlic. But it's a lot of work if you're just doing it for a couple cloves. We're looking for like 1 tablespoon. If just I have crib notes here just in case. That's from our it used to be our illegal catering operation. Oh, we won't talk about that anymore. We're not gonna talk about that. And then the last thing is clarified brown butter, because it says it on the label. Clarified brown butter, just really quick, is not the same thing as ghee. It's not the same thing as clarified butter. Clarified is probably like a modifier where you can just say brown butter. We usually use Kerrygold, unsalted Kerrygold butter. You use what you want. We just think it's so delicious. And what you do is you cook at a low temperature normal butter. And what will happen is it'll clarify. What we'll do is it'll separate. It'll actually set the butter fats will separate from the actual butter itself and increases the cooking temperature. That's what, like, you ever seen those fancy shows where they make steak and they do what do they call it? The reverse. Is it called a reverse baste? I can't remember what it's called. A reverse sear is when they spoon. Here. I'll emulate it. Here. When they imagine there's a steak there and they go ooh, right there. When they reverse sear, that's usually clarified butter. But what you do is most people will take out the butter fats. They have clarified butter. You leave the butter fats in there, and you let it continue to cook. And what happens is the butter fats caramelize, and they make the butter itself brown, and it gives this roasty, toasty. Even though it rhymes, I was going to say oasty, but that's not really a word. Kind of aroma and flavor. It just makes it so much deeper. And you basically get it to the point, and then you stop it, right? The reason why, and by the way, you can't use clarified butter or ghee, which is like the South Asian. The nomenclature, I might be wrong with this, so just please forgive me. It's not the same name, but I don't think it's the same thing either. But ghee is the South Asian version of clarified butter. You can't use that to make brown butter for the most part. From what I know, at least of ghee, I know of clarified butter, is because the butter fats aren't in there anymore. It's also because we tried that as a cheap hack for the restaurant, because you can buy clarified butter in bulk, and that didn't work. And it takes a little bit of time to make clarified brown butter. Okay, so this is what you do. You take these ingredients, and we mix all the wet ingredients with these ingredients here, right? And the thing to know about that is you need to mix it really well, because we're going to then heat them up. And for us, mixing is really important, as opposed to just throwing them in. So I could just throw this in here and here and here. The problem is when you're cooking, they'll cook really unevenly. And when they cook unevenly, sometimes when you go to a restaurant or you eat at home and you have that first bite and it's like amazing, then the second bite's like, what happened to the flavor on this one? And then the third bite's like amazing. And then the fourth bite's like, I don't know. That's inconsistency, and that's how my restaurant closed. No, that's not true. But we're the pandemic. That's a longer story. We all know that story, right? It's not a great one, but we'll just nervously laugh through it. You want to mix them so you can get even. Oh, what happened? Oh, did my phone do that? Oh, you know what? Don't worry about it anymore. We don't need that. Oh, StreamYard didn't work on that anymore. Don't worry about it. We don't need that anymore. But you want to mix them, right? And I guess I'll just do that right now. Oh, okay, let's see here. We have 25 minutes right now. And by the way, are any cooking questions at all? I don't know if anyone cares. But
we had a question about what the butter is used for, which I think you're about to get get to.
I am going to get to that. Let me write cooking on here again. Cook. Oh, I'll just put my name on it. It's fine. Okay, let's see here. The butter is used. Oh, there. I see it now. B. Rodriguez Abreu. Oh, I would actually love to know the ethnic origin of the last part of that name. Generally, that's not sarcastic. I know that comes off sometimes that way. But the butter is used to both sear the garlic itself, and what happens is the garlic infuses the flavor into the butter. But the other part is like there's a really famous food writer. A lot of people. She has a book and a show called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. And from what little I know, because I haven't read it yet, I would love to. I have a child. Those are very basic components of how dishes come together. And the other side of that is the butter is a fat, right? That fat creates, I think the definition of unctuous is like something that's yiga, but I'm asking him if he's hungry in Vietnamese. I'm asking him what does he want. Chips? Chips are very debt related. But anyway, he's getting chips from my wife right now. So it's a fat to emulsify all the other flavors in. So then also when you mix it in with the noodles, not very scientific, but it latches on, and that's what that is, right? And the fats are that gives that, it's one component of a bigger picture of flavor that makes you dream about it, makes you think about, oh my god, that's a camera on me. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cook real quick. Talk with me. I don't know amongst yourselves. I don't know. Oh, by the way, here's a water bath. That was an ice bath, but the ice is melted because I've been letting it sit there. Word of the wise: when you're boiling noodles, the water actually needs to be boiling. And this is not even, you want a, what's the term again? We want a rapid boil. What do we call it? A rolling boil. A rolling boil. That's the technical cooking term you'll see in cookbooks, right? Right? Yeah. Yes. My wife, I would say, I consider the executive chef. I would consider myself the assistant, sous, assistant, junior chef. But anyway, not to toot my own horn here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna mix these ingredients real quick, and let's see how I can do it without being super boring. But you know what? You can talk to me, Katie. How about this? You talk to me while I cook a little bit. We can switch to the other camera, so because you're not gonna see me.
Okay.
Noodles.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about. Well, you can tell us what you're doing, but then once you're kind of into it, I know we talked a little bit about your love of food, manga, and anime, and I was curious if you could talk a little bit about what that is and your recommendations.
Okay, so I've been watching anime seriously since 1989, but less seriously since like 1982. Anime is the Japanese word for animation. So it's actually anime, right? Anime is short for animation. And Japanese animation, so the most popular ones I think out now are like, what's really popular? Dragon Slayer, One Piece, Naruto. Here, see that? You see that? That because they're ninjas and they need their spare hands to throw their kunai, for anybody that doesn't know. But I love anime, but food anime is something incredibly specific to Japan. But food manga. So let's go back to manga. Manga is are Japanese comic books essentially, right? And they're a little bit different. They read from what we consider the back, right, back to front. They read from right to left. The panels are they're real and mostly black and white. Published weekly, a lot of times. Like the most popular anime publication in Japan is Shonen Jump, which Viz, I think Viz is the company that carries it here. And most anime, like a lot of like a lot of movies here are based on manga, right? Or movies aren't based on manga, and then movies are based on like literary properties. A lot of anime is based on manga. And one such one is called Yakitate, or Yakitate Japan. It's amazing. It's a baking anime, a baking manga. And the thing about it is, it's not just based in food. And I'm gonna put these noodles in there real quick. It's not just for anime. They actually, when they write these, they are very authentic to the actual things that they're making, and the things that they make in there are actually ingenious. So it's a baking anime, like think breads, pastries, but then they lace in all these like pop culture references. Like I remember one, they're making the bread, and it was like the Matrix. And like they're making bread and they're doing this. But if the Matrix dates me, I apologize. There's a new movie coming out soon. But anyway, from the Wachowskis, we won't get into the Wachowskis. That's a fascinating conversation. You can look them up. They're siblings, the Wachowski siblings, sisters now actually. So Yakitate Japan is the anime, but the manga is called Yakitate. Yakitate, Yakitate. Another one is the basis of all food, like the kind of like the Bible food manga is called Oishinbo. And actually, I read that they actually incorporated it into Japanese schools, like they teach it actually. There is an anime like on YouTube. These, by the way, legally available on the YouTubes, both of these right now. And I haven't seen that. Another one I'm going to bring up, but here's the preface. It's a little bit racy. It's a little bit adult, but the food and the story is top notch. It's called Food Wars. The Japanese name is Shokugeki no Soma. The name of the main character's name is Soma. You know what? It's hard cooking while you're talking. Oh, by the way, so here. Here's the noodles. I'm gonna pour them. Oh, there's a colander somewhere there. I'm pouring the colander, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash them down, and they're gonna shock them in the ice bath. You shock them because you put in the ice bath so they don't continue to cook. Because inside the noodles, there is, even if you take it out of the water, there's still like, I call it residual heat. There's still heat that retains inside it, and it continues to cook. But if it continues to cook, then the noodles get mushy. And if you work with fresh noodles, mushy noodles, gross. Ew. That's my technical Yelp review of a mushy noodle, or someone that we accidentally serve mushy noodles to, because we're human. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I was saying, oh, here we go. I'll do it. Here we go. Look at that. Oh, there's no more ice. Okay. And you put it in there and you shock it and it stops cooking. And then you swirl it in there. And when we started, I did think like, well, if you put them in the water, doesn't it get soggier? You can't leave them in there forever. But you leave them there 2 or 3 minutes and take it out, then they stop cooking and they're chewy and delicious. So let's see here. Food Wars is a really good one. It's fantastic. Let's just say this. It's a little racy, but it's indiscriminately racy. Meaning that men and women are treated alike. But there's no nudity or like that. There's just a lot of skin. So I guess that's partial. Lots of partial nudity. But the recipes in there, they actually hired an actual chef to consult on the manga, which translates to the anime. And the recipes are legit. Like literally the second big recipe in the show is the second episode. They make this, they make an aspic rice. And aspic is like a fat. Like, we trap the flavor, like imagine chicken stock and you marry it with fat and it becomes gelatinous. And he makes this dish where he does that. And he serves this woman who, her name is Arena, and she's the god tongue. And she puts the fat on top of the rice. And what happens is then the fat melts right into the rice and marries and melds and, just supplements the flavor, and it's just explosive, the flavor. And I was watching them like, oh my God, I'm totally going to steal that. But that's good. That's a great sign of inspiration, right? When you're watching something and you're like, especially like we're kind of pros, but honestly in the food world, like you're always learning. It's like, and I even told my wife, like, hey, well, she wasn't next to me. It was more like, hey, come on, no, I know you don't want to look, come over here. And I was like, we should try this, and we tried it. And it's really good. So Food Wars, Oishinbo, Yakitate. Oh, Bento is really good too. Bento's about these people that fight over discounted bento. And if you don't know what bento boxes are, like Japanese like packed lunches in a box, but and they'd have this. This happens too here. Like after a certain time, they mark down the bentos. And these are people that fight over the best markdown bentos. They literally go to a store and they're in different gangs and factions, and they fight over the bet. And like literally, they have like actual like Street Fighter, like street fights. I mean, they're not like Hadokens. Hadoken is a fireball that emits from your hands for anyone that doesn't know the game Street Fighter 2, or 3, or 4, and/or 5, and/or 1 is not. I'm a big nerd. Anyway, look, I'm mixing ingredients. We're at 36 minutes. You want to open up for questions while I make stuff? I mean, I'm going to try to finish this. Yeah, what? You come? Killian is done eating, everybody. Please, you may go on with your life.
So you're mixing everything. Cool. And then all the manga that Win just mentioned, we will put in the chat. The ones that we have at the library, because we have a large collection of manga that you can check out for free at the library. Yes.
I love that.
So we'll get those for you. And already the link to his to Win's book. Oh boy, he's eaten already.
Dente, by the way. Dente's like chewy. Look, everyone makes your noodles any way you want. I like no dente. Okay, I'm talking, Katie. I'm so sorry. You were talking about mangas and stuff that like the library. That's more important than me.
Oh, you're fine.
Tui? Oh, Tui. That's. I didn't mess up. I'm a good dad for this 1 minute, guys. Any questions? Or keep on going, Katie. You
well, I was going to ask if you had any advice or tips for teens who might be interested in becoming a chef or opening a restaurant or getting into the food business in any way.
My main advice usually is thinking is overrated. You just have to jump in with both feet. Like, if you don't know how to do it, you have to start doing it. But you have to start doing it with the resources available to you. So like, let's say you only have a microwave and you don't have a stove, then figure out actually how to cook with a microwave. And while professional chefs may, for the most part, ridicule using a microwave, you have to think of it as a heat source, right? And by the way, there's like, I remember working with a fancy chef here named Laurent Canu, and they made a cake in a microwave in like 1 minute. And what they did was they take cake mix, and they had like a CO2 like dispenser canister, and you spray the cake mix into like a cup and you microwave it, and makes an airy cake. And I was like, holy crud. I'm trying not to curse here because of him and because of you. Stay off the streets. You got? Oh yeah. But you just have to jump into a try. You have to be willing to mess up. And even when you mess up, you try again, you take notes. And you know what? It's a new rule I would say is that it's hard to get this, but you have to work towards giving yourself a thicker skin. And that is not easy to attain. I used to be incredibly shy. I was really extrovert, but incredibly shy. And I was not very receptive to judgment. I'd be very defensive. And it's not to say that people that are giving you notes are speaking in your best interest, but what happens is when you get a thick skin, you get notes, you take the ones that resonate with you the most, that mean the most to you. They don't have to be right, but the ones that are like, oh, like that story of me watching Food Wars and the chicken aspic. Like when you get that, like, oh, okay, that was Killian's best. That's how you start building those layers. And I'm actually a big gamer. I used to be. And it's like playing like a Japanese role-playing game or role-playing game of any kind. Like you speak in those terms, like you grind and you work really hard and you level up. That is how life is. And if you work towards a specific job or profession, you just continue. And what happens is that all these other opportunities and just perspectives start opening up to you as you traverse down this path. So let's say you have a microwave, and let's say that's great. Let's say you can afford like those portable burners. You get a portable burner, and you get like a cheap like a pan. You do that, and then recipes are plentifully and free online. You find a recipe that you like the most. You try to make it. You try to make it with what you have and not what you can get. And you might come up with something like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do this. Like everything that we have here, you could replace, like, actually the garlic noodle recipe is usually made with chicken fat and brown butter. But you can use any kind of fat. Oh, I even had look, any kind of fat, like bacon fat. Like this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Like you make bacon, you'll have fat that comes out of it. You can save that and you can cook stuff in it and make it taste like bacon. Or but what you're doing is you're layering bacon flavor. Imagine you're like, what if I had pancakes that taste like bacon but without the bacon? Bacon fat. But if everyone knew that, I didn't mean to insult everyone. I apologize. And Killian is ashamed by me. Here's the chicken fat. But you just have to jump into it. Thinking's overrated. Try, fail, try again. Like you have to try to a point, not until you fail. You try again until you feel like you learned enough to move on. Not necessarily because you failed. Like I feel like I'm the biggest failure of all my friends. but I also don't care because I am eternally curious. I'm a man child. I'm 43. And me and Killian play Captain Toad's Treasure Hunter every night, right? What? Yeah, that's on the Nintendo Switch. If you want to know what that is. That's right. Everything he said that you didn't understand, I did. Just jump in, try. Any other questions? What are you thinking?
I think we have like about 5 minutes, so okay. I just want to make sure we get to the end of the noodles, but we will be posting the recipe in the comments as well for those of you who are now super hungry like me and want to maybe make it for yourself.
Yeah, I'm still mixing because I was just talking so much. And by the way, something I wouldn't recommend, and I don't know, they don't make them anymore. They're not supposed to legally, but if you have old Teflon pans, you don't use metal against it. I just threw this on there. I'm about to get a spatula. The spatula. They're on top? Where are they at?
Just use a spatula in the bain-marie.
Oh, here. We're gonna use a spatula to mix it. This is also a spatula. It's not just a fruit thing. Actually, this is probably better because it's heat. I'm mixing. Oh, because there's sugars in it too. You want to make sure the sugars melt too. So. Anything else? Look, starting a business is not easy. I didn't think I'd start business as a kid. I thought I was going to be a scientist because I just wanted to press buttons that launch stuff. That was literally my only ambition in life. We fell into this accidentally because they followed the economy and we had to. And look, the pandemic is really unique because there are similarities that are, I don't know, glaring to me, like, financial and other similarities, and the fact that people need to figure out how to make money. A lot of people are starting underground restaurants. I don't take credit for that. I like being part of that. So that's my community, man.
Because you didn't study, you didn't go to college, didn't study food or anything like that, right? You kind of.
No, I did go to college, and my degree is in computer science, which is like programming. But no, neither my wife or I studied food. My wife was always a really talented cook and totally curious, and I just pushed her to make cooking our occupation, but because we had to, not because we had other choice. The fall of the economy, we both lost our jobs. Now I had this vision of going to an illegal restaurant as a kid, and I just said, honey, we're going to start an illegal restaurant at our apartment. She goes, why? I was like, because you're unemployed and you ain't got anything to do. That was it, literally, because I coerced her. By the way, coercion is not fun. That's like negative persuasion. But it's more like I backed her up in the corner, like, we don't have anything to do. Let's just start selling illegal food and see what happens. And look, I have a book. I'm talking to you, all three. I don't actually know how many. 4 of you. I'm still guessing numbers. I actually have no idea how many people are watching.
I think it's.
Okay. Keep on talking.
I was gonna say it's about you identifying what your strengths are, and then kind of pursuing your interests and your passions, wherever that
you know
may
what it
be.
is? You can also just be pursuing what you're interested in at that moment. Like the thing about it is that, especially as a boss, the thing that you learn is the indecision is the worst decision, or like analysis paralysis, which means you're thinking so much and overrun by all the options in front of you, you don't do anything. Sometimes you literally clear everything and just do the one thing in front of it. You don't even have to be passionate about it. And that, I know that may be hard to say or hear, but sometimes you just go down that path and you can knock it out. Like, you know what? I really don't like doing this. And I know people that don't like cooking. And it's like, you know what? At least you tried. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So we're mixing.
Mixing that, I know I keep on talking so much.
No, it's okay. I'm not trying to I'm like we get distracted from the noodles.
The garlic and the butter. Honestly, what I usually do, and this is just my fault because I'm just distracted talking to you, not because of you, just because of the situation. Is I usually melt the butter, I saute the garlic, and then I put everything in and mix all the sauce together. So what I'm doing right now is the actual opposite. I made the sauce, which was the oyster sauce, the chicken powder, sugar, and fish sauce. Now I'm melting the butter in, and I'm now trying to. The hard part is it's not gonna be easy for me to saute the garlic. So when you do stuff like that, sometimes the thing that people don't realize is that sometimes you can reduce heat to do things, or like you can stop things too. Like if you feel like you're gonna burn something, it's sort of like when you're making clarified butter and you can't stand over it the entire time, you can just stop it, pull it off it, and come back to it later. Ready? Okay, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Here's a new word. The word is feign. Feign meaning like, I'm going to mix it. I'm going to feign liking it. I'll probably actually like it. So, okay. I'm going to take my noodles. I'm going to take my sauce. The garlic isn't incredibly sauteed, so I will just chalk that up to being locked up in a pandemic and not having to talk to anyone. I was like, I haven't done my hair in a long time. I feel really good about this. And I'm going to talk. Look, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to put noodles in here. And you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to try to do once, and I'm going to see it. My wife's going to hate me. You're going to do a chef toss. Woo! Oh, yeah, that was. You know why? Because I brought too small of a pan, and
it looks okay from where I'm sitting, so we'll just pretend it went really well.
And you know what? I just cleaned this floor. Oh, the other thing you do for Lunar New Year is clean the house. You do a lot of things to bring in the new year. Cleaning the house is a really big one. So after this, I'm literally cleaning the house all night, all day tomorrow, all day the next day, delivering cookies. And then we have a pre-New Year dinner. That's the big one. Thursday night. Woo! 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 Oh my God, that
one did go everywhere.
That's what is it? I'm on Reddit. What do they call that? What do they call it? It's not premature celebration. It's not fair. It's a public freak out. That's what that is. Public freak out. Is it public freak out or that look when like you're dead? Like I'm gonna, part of the reason why I have dead eyes on that is because I want to eat it. The other part is I want to clean it, so that's my fault. So, but anyway, let's. I'm gonna just eat it from here. Oh, that doesn't suck. Meaning that that's actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
So that seems pretty easy. You kind of just make the sauce and you do the noodles and you mix it together. Like that seems like it's a pretty.
Oh, yeah. And the last part, my wife just remembered. Then you grate this is like a whole thing of like cheese. There's Parmesan cheese. By the way, quick lesson: Parmesan cheese, mushrooms, and a lot of other things. They have MSG naturally in them. So I'm not going to take your MSG debate at all. I'm not going to entertain it. It's delicious. I love the umami. So you shred the cheese on there, and that's the last piece. That's so good.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much. We went way over time, but I don't even care because That was amazing. Thank you all at home for watching. Join us next week for another awesome program for teens. We're talking about healthy relationships with Teen Line. Yay! And you can check out Win's book and the food manga and all that at lapl.org. So have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Let me get
and if you want to see what I'm eating, you should follow my wife because she posts a lot more on social media now. She's on Instagram. She's SK Kitchen Ninja. SK Kitchen Ninja.
Follow SK Kitchen Ninja and LA Public Library.
LA Public Library, please. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.